So if we were all 100% honest, telling the truth 100%, we don't like to wait for anything, nothing at all. Okay, maybe for the majority of things, we don't like waiting. And when we're waiting, most of the time we're waiting for things to improve. We look for things to get better. But the worst kind of waiting is waiting on God. And when we were waiting on God, we were waiting for Him to change something, to improve something, to reverse something, whatever it is. And most of the time, you want it to go from bad to good. But you're like, nothing is happening, and you're just in this season of darkness, and you just feel like you're there here in life, and nobody's listening to you. He is not listening to you. He's not answering anything because we're just waiting on Him to answer our prayer. But we were just told to continue to wait and to wait and to wait throughout the Bible. The most difficult place to wait in the hands of God is in His waiting room. And you're like, what is His waiting room? And it's being in a hurry for something to happen, but God isn't ready for that to happen for you. He knows everything about you. He knows what you can handle, what you can't. He knows how much to give you, but He knows that you're not ready. And this can be, you want to be in a hurry to graduate, to accomplish something, to achieve your dream, anything. You want to hurry to get through school. I personally just want to feel like I have to hurry up to get through school and apply to grad school, and I just want everything so suddenly in life, and I just like, but the thing is, we have to just live in the moment and know that we have to cherish the moments. It's not just about going to the end so suddenly. But like I said, the waiting room of God is when you're ready for something, but He knows you aren't. But you may think, I'm praying to God, I'm constantly telling Him, why aren't you coming through? Come through with this, I know He will, but He still isn't. And you're telling Him, I need this in such a timely manner, but you just have these feelings about giving up, and you're just like, nothing is going right. But, God's standard time isn't our time. Sometimes we have to realize that we live in a world full of answers right at our fingertips, and you can refresh your Facebook feed with a finger swipe. You can like someone's picture with a tap, or you can comment a kind word or even mean words with just seconds. And we have to realize that God doesn't live in that time of instant gratification. So waiting rooms is trusting God the most. It's showing Him that we're faithful to Him and that we trust Him with whatever time we need to get to that point. God isn't working on the project that we are praying to Him about, but working on our character instead. So He's working on building us, because He realizes that, like I said, we aren't ready for whatever that is. Whatever blessing He's about to give us is too big for us. So, there's been times where I think I'm like, okay, I'm ready for it. So I'm like, please give it to me now. And I feel like He hears that, and He's like, gives me some of it. And then I just break down, and I'm like, you know what? I wasn't ready for this. But He shows me that He gives me bits and pieces, but He keeps proving to me over and over again, I was not ready for that. And sometimes that's what you need to see, I feel like. And when you come to terms with that, you're like, you know what? Delay isn't denial. It's not telling someone not now means no. Like a little kid, you tell them they can't have ice cream for supper. You have to wait till after supper. You don't know. Not yet is not denial. At the right time, your prayer will be answered. And we have to know that those waiting rooms are just temptations of negative thoughts, negative emotions, anger, frustration, sadness, even jealousy. Like, he got a job raise, he got a job promotion, she started her own business. Oh my goodness, she graduated so early. Everything can be so tempted to feel because he's not doing it for you at the moment. You have to realize not yet doesn't mean no. And so then you come to this big thought of, what do we do in the waiting room? And I think it comes with realizing, he's not a big vending machine. You won't put in a prayer card into it and then he just answers your prayer right then and right there. Like I said, you don't see instant gratification with him. And it's so hard to know that in the society we live in. But it's written through scripture over and over for us to relate to. He told Noah to build a boat, but I think it was 120 years until a great flood even came. And the same with Abraham. He was told he'd be the father of a great nation, and then he didn't have a son until I think it was 99 years. And Moses was even sent in the desert for 40 years, being told he would lead people out of slavery. And so it just comes to show that this happens through the Bible, and Jesus did this to them. And we are just like them. And we have to know that our time will come. Promises will come true. Jesus Christ even spent so many years before he even could start his ministry. And you just have to realize he will not forget about you. Your name is written on his palm. He's not going to forget about you at all. And when you think that when you give your time to him, you're out of control, but you're not out of control because he controls everything in your life. So what does it matter giving him your waiting time, because he controls everything else? Because if we knew our whole blueprint of plans and when times are happening and when you're going to have a peak and when you're going to die and when you're going to experience all these great things in life, it would be kind of overwhelming and scary. You don't want to know that. And if you did know all that, you would be considered God, because God is the only person that knows any of that. So, trust in him with everything. And if you're here right now, just know that God has a plan for you. He's not done with you. You have a purpose here, and give it time. If you don't know it, it's okay. And if you don't think you have the time to waste, this is the biggest thing. If you're worried about you need a prayer answered like this and you can't wait on him, then there's nothing else better you can do to make that happen faster except waiting on him, because there's nothing better than waiting on God. And trusting God's timing is the only thing you can do to get something here faster. And I hope that message comes across to you, unless you know that there's a sense of peace when you leave your time with God.